The world held its breath as SpaceX prepared for one of the most ambitious and daring tests in modern spaceflight history. The South Texas sky shimmered with a golden hue as dawn broke over Boca Chica, and the massive silver silhouette of Starship SN10 stood tall on the launch pad. The air was electric, engineers, fans, and journalists alike waited anxiously. This was not just another test, this was history in motion. The dream of making humanity multiplanetary was about to take another step forward, one powered by courage, innovation, and thousands of tireless minds at SpaceX. As the countdown began, cameras zoomed in on the sleek stainless steel structure. The rocket seemed to breathe, venting gas from its side, alive in anticipation. T-30 seconds, echoed over the livestream, and hearts across the world started to race. Elon Musk's grand vision was no longer confined to concept art or simulations, it was right here, towering above the sands, ready to touch the sky. At T0, 3 Raptor engines ignited with a deep, thunderous roar that shook the ground for miles around. The flames beneath Starship SN10 painted the horizon orange as it began its graceful ascent. Dust and smoke swirled violently at the base, but above it all, the massive ship climbed steadily. Viewers watched in awe as the 50-meter-tall prototype, glistening in sunlight, pierced through the clouds. Unlike previous tests, this one looked remarkably smooth, almost serene. For SpaceX engineers, this flight was the culmination of countless failures, sleepless nights, and lessons learned from its predecessors, SN8 and SN9. Both had soared high, performing elegant maneuvers before ending in explosive finales. But SN10 was different. It carried the spirit of persistence, an embodiment of Musk's famous motto, "Failure is an option here." If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. As SN10 reached its target altitude, its Raptor engines began shutting down one by one, just as planned. The craft rotated horizontally, gliding through the air like a massive metallic whale. The belly flop maneuver, a controlled fall meant to test its aerodynamic surfaces, was breathtaking. Large flaps on the sides adjusted constantly, guided by onboard computers, ensuring the descent was stable and controlled. It was a delicate dance between chaos and precision, and this time, everything seemed to click. Down below, engineers monitored every vibration, every gust of wind, and every flicker of flame. The telemetry data streamed in flawlessly, and smiles began to spread across the control room. Outside, the crowd of onlookers gasped and cheered, phones raised high to capture every second. Even those who had doubted SpaceX's bold approach couldn't help but admire the spectacle. As the vehicle approached the ground, 2 of its Raptor engines reignited, tilting the massive ship upright once again. The transition from horizontal to vertical was swift, breathtaking, and seemingly perfect. The landing pad loomed closer, the engines flaring brilliantly against the dimming sky. For a moment, it felt as though time had frozen. Then, with an elegant thud, Starship SN10 touched down softly on its legs, standing proudly amidst the haze of dust and smoke. The control room erupted. Cheers, applause, and shouts of disbelief filled the air. "Starship has landed," the announcer confirmed, and the world went wild. Social media exploded with celebration, images, memes, and words of awe poured in. After years of development and numerous fiery endings, SpaceX had finally landed a full-scale Starship prototype intact. For a few shining moments, it seemed the future had arrived. Elon Musk tweeted moments later, "Starship SN10 landed in one piece. A great day for SpaceX and for Mars." The statement was brief but carried the weight of decades of ambition. For SpaceX employees who had poured their lives into this project, it was validation. For the world, it was proof that the impossible could become reality. As the cameras zoomed in on the towering rocket, still venting gas and steaming from the heat of descent, one could almost imagine it whispering, a sigh of triumph. The landing legs held firm, the structure gleaming under the golden light. Engineers celebrated, journalists prepared headlines, and people across the globe watched replays of the landing, awed by the progress humanity had made in just a few decades of spaceflight. But just as celebrations reached their peak, something unexpected happened. A small flame appeared near the base of the rocket, faint at first, then growing brighter. The crowd watching on the live feed noticed it immediately. Smoke began to rise once again. Technicians scrambled to assess the situation, but within moments, the entire vehicle shuddered. A thunderous explosion ripped through the launch site, sending debris and fire soaring into the air. SN10, after making history, was gone. The shock was instantaneous. For a few seconds, silence fell over the world. The cameras shook from the blast, then cut out. Yet amid the disappointment, there was no despair, only awe. Because Starship SN10 had done what none of its predecessors could, it had launched, maneuvered, and landed successfully. The explosion was simply the finale of a test that had already succeeded. SpaceX engineers later confirmed the cause. A methane leak during landing had ignited, leading to the delayed explosion. Elon Musk, ever the optimist, joked on Twitter, "RIP SN10, honorable discharge." He called it a rapid and scheduled disassembly, SpaceX's light-hearted phrase for explosions, but his message carried immense pride. The test had achieved its primary objective, and that meant humanity was one step closer to Mars. For Musk, the Starship program wasn't just another engineering project, it was a mission to secure the future of the human race. He often spoke about the necessity of becoming a multiplanetary species, to ensure survival beyond Earth. The Starship, designed to carry 100 tons of cargo and up to 100 passengers, was the key to that vision. The SN10 test was proof that the concept worked. The dream of landing on the moon, building colonies on Mars, and traveling across the solar system felt closer than ever. In the days following the test, footage of the flight went viral across the internet. Analysts, space enthusiasts, and engineers dissected every frame, marveling at the precision and control achieved during descent. News outlets hailed it as a milestone in human space exploration. The explosion, rather than diminishing the accomplishment, made the story even more powerful, a testament to human resilience and the willingness to push boundaries. Inside SpaceX, work didn't stop for a second. SN11 was already waiting in the high bay, undergoing final checks. The engineers, inspired by SN10's partial success, were more determined than ever. They refined systems, improved fuel lines, and enhanced landing leg mechanisms. Every failure, every explosion, every challenge was just another step toward perfection. The world began to view SpaceX differently. What once seemed like a risky dream now appeared inevitable. NASA took note. International space agencies watched closely. Private investors poured more confidence and money into Musk's ventures. Children around the world watched the flight and decided they wanted to become engineers, astronauts, or scientists. The flame of curiosity and ambition that had dimmed since the Apollo era was reignited. Months later, as newer prototypes took to the sky, each improving upon the last, the legacy of SN10 lived on. It became a symbol of the SpaceX spirit, fearless, innovative, and unyielding. Its brief moment of triumph and fiery end embodied everything that space exploration truly represents: courage, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of the stars. Looking back, SN10's flight was more than just a test. It was a story about persistence, about never giving up, no matter how many times the rocket falls. It was about thousands of people working together toward a dream bigger than themselves. It was about proving that private industry could achieve what once only governments could dare to attempt. In classrooms and documentaries, SN10 would be remembered not for its explosion, but for its landing. It marked the moment when SpaceX crossed from potential to proof. It showed that reusable, heavy-lift spacecraft capable of planetary missions were not science fiction anymore, they were science in action. As the sun set over the remains of Boca Chica that evening, the scorched ground told the tale of triumph through destruction. Engineers walked the site, inspecting fragments, already planning how to do better next time. The future, after all, doesn't wait for perfection, it rewards progress. And progress was exactly what SN10 had delivered. In Elon Musk's words, "If we can keep improving, even by a small percentage every time, we'll get there." And so they did. With each prototype, SpaceX got closer to the ultimate goal, building a fully reusable spacecraft capable of taking humanity to Mars and beyond. SN10 may have been gone, but its spirit lived on in every flame, every weld, and every dream of those who looked up at the night sky and believed. For those who witnessed the flight that day, the image of the silver rocket standing tall against the Texas sky would never fade. It wasn't just a test, it was a glimpse into the future. A future where humans walk among the stars, and where every failure, every explosion, and every landing brings us one step closer to the next giant leap. Starship SN10 soared, landed, and burned, but in doing so, it ignited something far greater than flame. It lit the path to the stars.